Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Man United players are expecting Solskjaer to be sacked. Solskjaer will be sacked within 48 hours. Solskjaer said his goodbyes to his players and staff following the defeat to Watford. He said not so long ago that Manchester United called an emergency board meeting to discuss the dismissal of Solskjaer. Manchester United will have to pay Solskjaer £7.5 million because in the summer he signed a new 3-year contract with an option of a further year. Solskjaer was in charge of Manchester United for almost 3 years. And the reason he lasted as long as he did is because he's a legend of the club. Disregarding him being a legend of the club, he would have been sacked a while ago. You know, despite Solskjaer getting sacked, we all adore Solskjaer, reflecting on what he's done for the club. At the end of the day, Solskjaer is a club legend. He endured 11 years as a player for Man United. He flourished under Sir Alex Ferguson's guidance. He won a lot of trophies as a player. Solskjaer's most iconic moment as a player was when he scored the winning goal in the Champions League final back in 1999. He won the club the treble, and that is the club's greatest achievement. So as a player, Ole had a proven pedigree, but unfortunately, as a manager, he hasn't got a proven pedigree. The clubs that Solskjaer has managed in his managerial career, obviously he managed Man United's reserve team for a couple of years. He watched some of this team grow and develop. He managed Cardiff. His record at Cardiff was absolutely terrible. He only enjoyed a short tenure with Cardiff. Cardiff sacked Solskjaer because he got them relegated. He managed Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. And obviously managed Manchester United's senior team. Reflecting on our poor performances, Solskjaer is partly to blame because his tactics and his team selections have been questioned a lot. But there again, not all of the blame stems from Solskjaer. There's also players that have to take responsibility for those poor performances. Man United have lost 4 of the last 5 in the league, and Man United are currently sitting 7th in the Premier League. This season was Solskjaer's 3rd full season, and I did say at the start of this season that this season was going to be massive for him. You know, Solskjaer was never capable of winning trophies as Man United manager. He didn't win a trophy as Man United manager. Man United have not won a trophy since 2017. Certainly Solskjaer lowered the standards at the club as manager. The expectations were far too high for him to exceed as manager, and he was in a position that he shouldn't have really been in. I hate to say that, but obviously I'm just being realistic. The way to get out of this predicament now is obviously to sack Solskjaer. It won't be long now before he's officially sacked. You know, we need a change of manager, and we also need to see structural changes at the club. So who's going to come in to replace Solskjaer? Now, I'm hearing that Zinedine Zidane is the favourite to replace him. But earlier on this week, Zinedine Zidane turned down the Manchester United job. As it said, Zidane is pretty much agreed to take the France job. There again, it said Zidane is not available until the summer because earlier on this week, the Man United board held talks with Zinedine Zidane, and Zidane notified the board that he doesn't feel ready for the Premier League at the moment and he prefers to take a break until the summer. Zidane's close relationships with Ronaldo and Varane should persuade him to join. Earlier on this week, though, it did say that Zidane was interested in the Man United role, but Zidane's wife wasn't attracted to the idea of living in Manchester. But Zidane is managerless. He left Real Madrid in the summer, and you've got to admire what he did at Real Madrid. He won a lot of trophies at Real Madrid. So reflecting on that, he's got a good pedigree behind him. Zidane has not yet managed in the Premier League, so it would be good for him to come and experience the Premier League. But Zidane would be the man for Man United. I think if he came in, he'd get the best out of these group of players. He'd suit the strappings of the club. He'd get us back to that level where we should be at, and I reckon he would be capable of winning trophies. Certainly my preference is Zidane over Brendan Rodgers. You know, there's been a lot of rumours about Brendan Rodgers coming to Man United. But prior to the game against Watford, Sky Sports and ESPN said that Brendan Rodgers distances himself from the Man United job. But not so long ago, it said Brendan Rodgers is ready to say yes to Man United if he's offered the job. And it did mention that Brendan Rodgers is the favourite to replace Solskjaer. Not so long ago, Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire. The Manchester Evening News said the other week that Man United are ready to trigger Brendan Rodgers' contract clause if Solskjaer gets sacked, and it did mention earlier on in the season that Brendan Rodgers had already verbally agreed to become Man United's new manager, but his preference would be to wait until next season, as he's reluctant to leave Leicester midway through the season. Rodgers could be under some pressure now because Leicester have been poor so far this season, but you've got to admire what he's done at Leicester though. You know, he has won the Community Shield with them in the FA Cup. He's been in charge of Leicester for almost 3 years. He's got a contract with them till 2025. I don't know if he would be the right manager for Man United, but one thing I can guarantee, he's a far superior manager to Solskjaer. You know, Pochettino's still being spoken about. Reports from France did say not so long ago that Pochettino will consider making a return to the Premier League on his next job. Pochettino has a full season left on his PSG contract. And you've also got Eric Ten Hag, that's been spoken about a lot. You've got to admire what he's done at Ajax. He's been at Ajax for 4 years and he's won a few trophies. But revert back to Solskjaer. We'll know more about him tomorrow morning. I think it probably will be official tomorrow morning that he has been sacked. You know, when Solskjaer is sacked, he will be the 4th permanent manager to be sacked since Ferguson, because Man United have already sacked 3 managers since Ferguson. Sacked David Moyes, sacked Louis van Gaal, and sacked Jose Mourinho. Solskjaer got appointed in December 2018 to replace Mourinho. The club decided to give Solskjaer the job on a permanent basis back in March 2019, reflecting how well he did when he first came in. But yes, we did make a mistake giving him the job on a permanent basis. There was United fans saying we should have waited until the end of that particular season to decide or not whether he was the right candidate. But Ollie knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job, and he knew it was going to be a difficult job as well, because Ollie was managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. You know, Man United should be doing much better this season. You know, look, we've got a very, very good squad. You know, Man United have spent over £1 billion since Ferguson retired. You know, the reason we're not getting the best out of a lot of these players is because of the team. They're a team of individuals. You know, they don't actually play as a team. Plus, they wasn't playing for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because quite clearly they want the manager out. You know, if we played as an actual team, I think we would be up there. Man United should be winning the Premier League this season, or at least competing for the league. That's a title-winning squad we've got. Man United have not won the Premier League since 2013. You know, Man United enjoyed a very good summer transfer window this year. You know, made 4 signings. Spent around £141 million. The 3 of the 4 signings we made were major signings. Ollie's endured like 5 transfer windows as permanent United manager. And the board backed Solskjaer as well. You know, the Glazers backed him, Woodward backed him, our director of football, John Murtaugh, backed him, and Darren Fletcher also backed him. You know, Solskjaer signed 14 players as Manchester United manager, and Man United spent over £400 million under Solskjaer. Ole also got rid of a lot of players since he come in. You know, he loaned players out, also got rid of a lot of players permanently. You know, in Solskjaer's first full season, he did get us to 3 semi-finals and he got us a 3rd place finish. In his second full season, he got us to the EFL Cup semi-final, the FA Cup quarter-final, the Europa League final. We lost that Europa League final though, unfortunately. It was Ollie's first major final as United manager, and last season, you know, he got us a 2nd place finish. I did like the way he developed the youth though, as Man United manager, to be fair. We can't expect another Alex Ferguson because, like I've said before, no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did at Man United. You know, Ferguson won 30-odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles, so reflecting on that, he brought success to the club. Ferguson endured a 27-year managerial tenure at Man United. Players are leaving Manchester United next year. There's a good chance that Lingard will leave next year, because prior to the Watford game, he said Jesse Lingard's future at Man United is in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. His current contract at Man United expires next summer. Not so long ago it said Lingard could leave for just 10 million. I'm hearing that West Ham want to re-sign Lingard. At the second half of last season, Lingard endured a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and made an impact. West Ham tried to get him in the summer, but they were struggling to meet our 25 million asking price. I've also been hearing rumours saying that Lingard wants to go abroad. Prior to the Watford game, though, Solskjaer did say that Lingard still remains part of his plans. Lingard's only made one start this season, that was West Ham in the Carabao Cup. You know, Lingard's been part of the club for a long time. You know, he risen up our academy and that. He's had his good periods at Man United, he's also had his poor periods as well. Donny van der Beek, he's leaving in January. The player himself has confirmed that because quite clearly Van der Beek's not getting enough game time at Man United. Van der Beek came on today against Watford, and to his credit, he made an impact. You know, he tried to make things happen. He got in some good positions. Obviously, scored our goal. You know, Van der Beek's endured a difficult year and a half or so at Man United, and this season is his second full season at the club. We got Van der Beek in a deal worth 40 million with add-ons included. You know, he's got a contract with the club until 2025. There's an option of a further year, and he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. Nemanja Matic, I think he's also going next year because he isn't good enough to represent the club. Matic actually played today alongside McTominay. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that he gets his opportunities, and surprisingly enough is ahead of Van der Beek in that midfield. Matic, I think, is the only predominant centre defensive midfielder we've got. I've always had my reservations about him, though, even though he has had some good games as a United player. Matic has been at Man United for like 4.5 years, got him from Chelsea back in 2017 for 40 million. You've also got Pogba, that looks like he's leaving next year, because it said not so long ago that Man United are prepared to sell Paul Pogba in the January transfer window. Well, it makes sense to cash in for him in January rather than let him go on a free next summer. Pogba may never play for the club again anyway, because Pogba is missing the rest of 2021 because he's injured. He suffered a thigh injury in France training the other week. Pogba now, though, has done his 3-match ban in the league. Reports from France said the other week that Pogba wanted to renew his contract with Man United, but reportedly on one condition, that he's made the Premier League's highest paid player. So Pogba said he wants to overtake Ronaldo as the highest paid player. At the moment, Pogba receives around 290 grand a week. His current contract at Man United expires next summer. Before the start of this season, he rejected a new Man United contract offer. But Pogba is a good player and an imperative player, so I actually want him to stay, but he's not going to, by the looks of things. Pogba's got 7 assists in the league so far this season. Towards the end of last season, Pogba produced good performances. He's had a long-running transfer saga, though. He's been relentlessly linked with Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him. His former club Juventus have been in for him. Inter Milan have been in for him as well before. So there you go. But for quite some time now, Pogba's agent Mino Raiola has been working hard to get his client a move away from the club. Pogba's our most expensive signing at the moment because we paid 89 million for him. You know, he's won 3 trophies at the club so far, and this season is Pogba's 6th season at Man United since he re-signed. We had him when he was a lot younger under Ferguson, but had to let him go due to limited appearances. And Mata, he's another one who I think is going next year. Mata's contract at Man United expires next summer, because earlier on this year, Mata signed a 1-year contract extension. I can't understand why we extended Mata's contract for the further year, because he doesn't get in the team, plus he's lost that yard of pace and he's aging up anyway. But I think overall he's a decent player, Mata. I reckon he's had a good career at Man United. You know, Mata's made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored over 50 goals. Mata's been a long-serving player at Man United. He's been with us for 7.5 years. We got Juan Mata back in 2014 from Chelsea for 40 million. So we brought him in under the David Moyes era. Martial, he's another one that's leaving next year. You know, Martial, he's not good enough to represent the club. The best season Martial had was his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Martial doesn't get in the team and just come back from injury not so long ago. Martial has been at Manchester United for 6.5 years. He's got 3 years left on his contract. Last season, Martial was out with a knee injury for a while. Cavani, I think he's also leaving next year as well. Even though I don't want him to leave because he's made an impact since he's come in. Cavani's actually now out with injury until December. He was out with injury earlier on this season. Cavani's got under a year left on his Man United contract. It was back in May signed that 1-year contract extension. This season's Cavani's second full season at Man United. We got Cavani on a free transfer from PSG. He has got a good pedigree behind him though. Look at the amount of silverware he won when he was at PSG. Not only that, he was a long-serving player when he was at PSG. Tellez, I think there's a good chance he'll leave next year, you know, because Tellez doesn't really get in the team, you know. Tellez will only play when Shaw's not available, but in some of the games Tellez has been involved in, he's done well, but I haven't had much of a perception on him at United, and he was out with injury earlier on this season. The reason we brought Tellez in was to provide competition for Shaw. You know, we got Tellez in a deal worth 15.4 million from Porto last year. Jones, I think he's also leaving next year. Jones doesn't get in the team, and Jones has always been inconsistent. And at one point, Jones was out with a knee injury for a while. You know, Jones is the only outfield player that's still with us from the Ferguson era. Jones has been a United player for 11 years, so long-serving player. Eric Bailly, I think he's also going next year, unfortunately. I don't want him to go, though, because he's a good centre-half. But has to go because he doesn't get regular game time. He lost his place in the team a while ago with the signing of Varane in the summer transfer window, and obviously Lindelof's preferred to Bailly. Don't ask me why, because Bailly is a far superior player to Lindelof. Towards the end of last season, Bailly signed a new contract with Man United till 2024. There's an option of a further year. He's injury prone, that's definitely a concern. Dalot, I think he's on his way out next year, you know, because Dalot doesn't get in the team. Dalot will only play when Bissaka's not available. You know, Dalot's our backup right back to Bissaka. But in some of the games he's been involved in, he's done alright. You know, last season Dalot was out on loan with AC Milan. And reflecting on that again, some experience. We got Dalot from Porto around 3 years ago. We paid £19 million for him, and he's got a contract with Man United till 2023. And Henderson, I think he's going out on loan next year. He's already said that he wants to go out on loan because Henderson doesn't get his chances because De Gea reclaimed that #1 spot back. Henderson's only been in goal for one game so far this season. That was the game against West Ham in the Cup. At one point, though, he was out with COVID for a while. At one point last season, though, Henderson reclaimed that #1 spot. Or should I say, got the #1 jersey. He did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. So, there you go. So anyway, guys, back with more videos tomorrow, unless there's any more breaking news tonight. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Don't forget my channel name is Red Devil 24.